Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders What podcast. Today, I have another wonderful guest for you, my new good friend, Clestine, that I connected just a few hours ago on our common coach, my good friend, my mentor, my brother from another mother, Jay Lee, the sales ninja guru. And we connected there, and she booked a call with me, and we just had a wonderful chat. And I'm a very spontaneous guy. I told her at the end of the call, "Hey, are you available right now to the podcast?" She said, "Yes, let's do it." And here we are. So beautiful. So a little bit about her. She's originally from the UK, moved to the US when she was 13, former engineer. Now she found a purpose, a mission, a path, a voice, which is she's a purpose coach. She helps Christian women identify the genius, activate their courage so they can achieve their dreams. So a lot of amazing things. And here we are. So we're going to unpack all of that. But most importantly, she's a very art-centered woman. That's why she's here on my podcast. With my podcast, you guys know it's all about impact, doing good, inspiring, empowering others, and making the world a better place. So anyways, I'm excited. Without any further ado, Clestine, I hope I said correctly. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. I can be spontaneous myself, so I'm glad you are too. I
Spontaneous.
love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyways, so first and foremost, tell us, how are you doing today?
I am doing good. I had a great, it's been a good week. It's been a full week, but a good week.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, the kind of conversation I like to have on my podcast is sure, we're going to talk about your business and all that later on, but the gist of it, the focus of it is I want to have a look under the hood, so to speak, to see what's in your heart, to see who's Clestine as a person, as a woman, as a human being, first and foremost. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So for people who don't know you, over and beyond the tiny little introduction I gave you, who's Clestine as a person, as a human being, as a woman?
So I love helping people, and that's broad. When someone tells me they like helping people, I say, okay, so what does that mean to you? For me, I am so passionate about helping people to find their purpose because I was in a job that I did not like. And it was for 8 years, and I don't want anybody to be in that situation because I had to drag myself to work every day and I did not like it. So I always want to encourage people. That's one of my love language is encouraging. But I love music. I love traveling. Um, I like reading. And in this season of my life, I'm reconnecting with some of the gifts that I've had that have been a little dormant, right? So one of the things I want to do is next year is to start painting. That's a gift that I haven't really focused on at all in my life, except for when I was a child. So I kind of want to reactivate that.
Please do. I want to see
And
that.
see where that goes. You know what I mean? See
And
where
if you
that
ever
goes.
sell those, I might be one of your first clients. Customers, sorry. I'm not joking. I'm obsessed
Okay.
with arts. Yes.
I wasn't even thinking that far, but okay.
Think big, my
Okay.
friend.
I know, right? Good.
Awesome.
I love singing.
Mm.
So I sing in a gospel group
Mm.
and I sing in a gospel choir.
Beautiful.
And I can sing, let's see, tenor, alto, soprano. I love harmonizing. So whenever a song is on, I will find some place to harmonize in that song because I just love
You know
harmonizing.
what that means?
What's that? Oh
I'm
no, I
excited.
don't do solos.
I'm
I only sing in
excited.
groups.
At the end of the call, you're gonna give us a glimpse of your talents, okay?
Remember that little, so what I didn't tell you, I was a shy little girl when I was younger, and that part of her is still in me. So
I'm shy
I
too.
don't
See, I'm still
know.
shy.
Oh gosh. I sing
Yeah.
in groups. When I'm in
Okay.
groups, I'm fine. As soon as but it's funny. Somebody asked me, they're like, you're a speaker. You speak in front of hundreds of people. How can you be
Mm.
shy when you sing? And I'm like,
Exactly.
Well, when you do it solo, you got to make sure you're on that note. And my throat I get nervous. It's
Mm,
so funny. It's really interesting. It's
yes.
like it takes me back to my childhood when I start singing
Beautiful, beautiful. All right.
by myself, anyway.
We're gonna unpack all of that in a moment. So what I like to start off with first is asking my guest a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know them. Ready?
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, Clestine,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you happy as a person?
Mm. The ocean, being by the ocean,
Oh yeah.
or by water, that is
Mhm.
just like my happy place.
Beautiful. What makes you smile?
When anybody says anything that makes me laugh, or little
Oh
children make
yes.
me smile. Yeah, they're
Now,
innocent.
what makes you come alive? Like sets your soul on fire and makes your heart sing.
When I'm speaking,
Mm,
when I'm speaking or preaching, it's like I just come alive. I just get into another zone,
beautiful.
and I just, it just energizes me.
Beautiful. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what makes you sad and angry?
Hmm. When people are hurting,
Mm,
and I can't help them,
yes.
that makes me sad.
What scares you?
Hmm. Ah, that's a good one. What scares me
Other than spiders.
other than
I'm
spiders?
joking. I'm joking.
I know, other than spiders. I'll say not fulfilling
Mm,
my call fully.
love that.
Hmm.
What is your personal superpower?
My personal superpower is, I would say, is identifying someone's genius and
Mm,
encouraging someone in their genius.
beautiful. When was the last time you had a really, 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 really good laugh? The type that give you cramps on your cheek, tears, and rolling on the floor.
Oh gosh. I think I was watching something and I can't remember what I was watching, but I will say this, the only sitcom that I watch that makes me belly laugh is Frasier.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
All the others, they don't make me belly laugh, but that one, yes, definitely.
Mm.
I call it intelligent humor.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I like that. I am with you on that. What is one thing that you used to value that you don't value anymore?
Hmm. Um, I've always valued friendships.
Mm,
But I'm in a transition, and what I'm noticing is God is shifting my connections.
mm-hmm,
And I realize it's because He's up leveling me. So I'm connecting with people that are at a different level,
mm-hmm.
higher level than I. And so my friendships are shifting. And I am at first, I think I went through a grieving process with that. But then I realized that it wasn't a bad thing. It was just a transition thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
I was having a wonderful conversation for 2 hours yesterday morning with a man here in from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Hmm.
He successful trainer, coach, corporate trainer, and all that. And then when the pandemic started, his business was shut down. He went into depression, suicidal almost, and
Hmm.
he had to ov- he had to overcome his depression for his own for himself and his family. And then he wanted to write. He got this compelling desire, and also his soul was pushing him to share his story, to write a book
Hmm.
about it. he shared it with quite a few of so-called close friends. And when he launched his book at the start of this year, he told me he lost 90% of his so-called friends because they didn't want to be associated with him anymore.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, and then he said that, wow, that was a blessing because the masks came off, you know.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then new
Yeah.
people, new friends that are
Right.
uplifting, just like you said,
Right.
are showing up in your life.
Right.
So that's powerful. Yes.
Yeah. So I had to learn. So this is, since this is all about the heart, right? Leaders of the
Mhm.
heart. I had to learn. There was someone that I did a personality study one time, and it was a really one of those really deep,
Mm.
expensive ones, right? And they said that they actually showed on the chart that my loyalty, I was loyal to a fault.
Mm.
So it was off the charts, right?
Mhm.
And so letting go has always been a really hard thing for me. So I think that's why I went through a unbeknownst to me grieving period, but I'm learning that it was actually a good thing because now it's bringing in the new people that I need in my life.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Now, what is one thing that you didn't value before, but now that you value?
time.
I'm with you. Time and health. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good, good. Awesome. Now let's move forward. You enjoy traveling, right?
I do.
Okay. We can do an entire episode on traveling. We might do that in the future, but now I'd like to take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Go back to when you were a kid growing up. You know, when we're kids, people around us, family,
Mhm.
parents, relatives, teachers, neighbors always ask us, hey, Clestine, what do you want to become when you grow up? What does your
Mhm.
answer as a little girl to that question?
As a little girl, I said I wanted to be a teacher.
Ah,
Mhm.
you had someone in family that inspired you that was a teacher, or just you just like to be a teacher?
I always, I used to play with when I used to play with my little dollies, I was teaching. I was the teacher, right?
Mm,
And what's interesting is well, my father passed away 5 years ago, and my mother's now down here.
mhm.
And in being around her in my adult life, I'm 54, I'm realizing that I got it from her. I never knew this all my life, but she has a gift of teaching.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, interesting. But I always wanted to be a teacher. And so I am. I'm a
Oh,
teacher, but I'm not a traditional teacher. My classroom is the world. My students are women of faith.
love that.
So it's a different classroom.
Beautiful. Love that. Now, let's stay with to when you were growing up as a little girl. What was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school?
Um, I was very shy, so school was hard for me.
Mm,
Always been an extrovert, but I
mhm.
was extremely shy and insecure. So school was hard for me. And then when I was 13 and came to this country, oh my gosh, it was painfully hard for me because um everybody wanted to hear my British accent. So
I was
they
about to ask, what happened to it? Bring it
because
back.
subconsciously I lost it because I was so shy and everyone's like, say something, say something. So I think subconsciously I lost it.
No, the accent is one of the best thing for people as part of your
It
personal
is.
character. So speak a
Mhm.
little bit with your British accent.
Well, my moniker for my business is you can't afford to be like everybody else.
I agree. Yes, mate. I agree. No, that's Australian. Sorry, that's Australian. Yes. Anyways, awesome.
I know some people get those two confused sometimes.
I was the same when we moved from France to Canada. I was 14, and I had the
Mhm.
biggest, fattest French accent. It says,
Mhm.
"Excuse me, where is the bathroom, please?" Just like that. And I had to learn to relearn it and remove it.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's
But
still.
everybody loved your accent. And you're right, everybody loves accents. So when I was in England, the school I was at, we had this we called it the language center.
Mm-hmm.
And students from around the world would come and do like, a few months or a few years teaching English or different languages. So when the Americans would come, oh my gosh, we just wanted them to talk all day long because we loved the American accent in England.
I
Yeah.
gotta say, I have sometimes I struggle understanding the American accent from the South, from Alabama and all those places.
Yeah.
Like that's cute and charming, but can you translate what you just said?
Yeah, it's funny. What's really funny, a few years ago I was in one of my friend's weddings and um her son's grandfather came over and he was from way out in the country somewhere in England, right? And I could not understand. I've never heard an accent like it, first of all, coming from England, but never heard an accent where it's like all the words ran together. I could not understand it. It was so funny. There's so many languages in the world and so many dialects. Um, you could write a whole book
Sure.
on languages.
Which part of England do you come from?
Sheffield,
Oh,
which is 3 hours north of London,
okay.
near Manchester, Leeds, in that area.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
City of Steel, City of Steel.
Nice. 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 So let's go
Yeah.
back to when you were growing up in school. What was your favorite subject in school?
I think it was math.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, math and science. I was good at math and science.
And what was your least favorite subject?
Um, Probably English.
Oh,
I think English. Yeah,
okay.
which is interesting because I've written books and I got to
Yeah,
talk all the time. All right, but yeah.
beautiful. Now imagine that we were in the same class, say in grade 10, grade 11. What kind of girl were you? Were you the a student? Were you the shy one, the quiet one, the nerdy one, the superstar athlete? What type
Oh,
of,
which grade?
say grade 10, 11?
Grade 10, 11. Definitely shy.
Mm,
Definitely shy. Um, so in England, I was always the top three. I was
mm,
always in the top three in everything. So I was in top three in English, math, science, top three in art. I was at the bottom three when it came to sports. I could I could not throw or catch a ball to save my life. But everything else, I was the top three. Art, English, math, science, everything.
beautiful, beautiful. Growing up, in school and after the university and college, were you popular with the boys?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I was really shy, and it's
Mm.
so funny because I'm finding out now of boys that were interested in me that I didn't even know they were interested in me.
Yo, why
Now
you,
I'm finding out in my adult life.
why did you tell me?
I was so shy. So, and
Yeah.
I was one of those children that I was tall, right? So I was taller than most. And so, and my mother always told me to sit up straight and walk straight, right? So people, because I had an accent, because I walked tall, people thought I was a little, snooty. But I was also shy. And in my head, I always wanted to talk to people and say something, but I just didn't know what to say, right? Didn't know what to say to people. So growing up, people thought I was a little, stuck up or to herself. And those same people that thought I was stuck up into myself, now they're like my closest friends,
Oh, yes,
because they got to know me as a person as opposed to before they didn't try to get to know me.
for sure. What was your very first job? And remember how much you get paid the first time you worked?
I don't remember how much I got paid, but it was for, um, I think my first job was McDonald's, and I did not stay there long.
Mm.
Um, I didn't like, you know, I didn't do well with the register,
Oh yeah.
and I didn't like the smell in the kitchen. So I think I was there a month and I was gone. And then I did retail in a store. Didn't like that either because again, I was just uncomfortable with people. So then I ended up going to the water department
Mm.
in the small town that I lived in Boston, in outside of Boston. And I was there for a couple of years, and it was a desk job, and I was so much more comfortable doing that, right? So that should have been that was a clue that that's what I should be doing, something something business related behind the desk or something like that.
So you were 13 when your family moved from the UK to the US, right?
Correct.
How difficult or challenging was the adaptation for you, the switch?
Very, very difficult. So what's funny, well, it's funny now, but so the year we moved, I believe is the year the movie Jaws came out. You know the movie Jaws?
Yes, of course. Classic. Yes.
And so my first thought as a very shy, very insecure 13-year-old was I am not getting in any American water, right? So
Not even swimming pool?
no American Ocean at all. But
Mm.
it was very overwhelming. I remember, I still to this day remember standing outside waiting for my grandfather. It was in July in Boston. Boston is very humid
Mm.
in the summer. And so we weren't used to that heat coming from England.
Sure.
And everything was big. And I remember just holding on to my mother, like, oh my gosh, like, what are we doing? We're in another country and everything. The roads are big, the houses are big, the cars are big, everything's big, bigger than in England. So it was overwhelming for me, but I
Mm.
survived.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
survived.
Yeah. Now let's move forward. From the time you left school to now, how would you describe your path? Would you say it was pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing, once you're into one lane, you were set for life, or was it more like turns and twists, like a change of career, change
Turns.
of direction, and all
Yeah,
that?
turns and twists. So in high school, when we had to pick a track, and I did some research, and I was like, teachers don't make a lot of money. I decided to switch and use the gift what I was good at, which was math and science. And so I decided to go into engineering because I knew I was supposed to do something different. I mean, a lot of women weren't going into engineering back then. Um, but then I was in it for 8 years, but 2 years into it, realized I really wasn't an engineer because I could see my colleagues were passionate about it, the light in the eyes, and they talk about the things we were designing, and I didn't have that light. And
Mm.
I remember praying and saying, okay, God, I know I'm on this side. And the funny thing is, I always had the potential to see what someone should be doing. I have that gift of seeing a person's potential, but I just couldn't see mine. And so I prayed for 6 years. Didn't think God was listening to my prayers because I wasn't getting any revelations, any
Mm.
inspiration until I got laid off. And then that's when, a year before I got laid off, that's when things started to get clear to me as far as what I should be doing and what I was created for, which brought me right back to teaching, but in a different manner, speaking and coaching and writing books and all of that. So it was not a straight path. But I think that, God uses everything. And even though I call my engineering career a detour, he used it to create a passion in me because I don't want anybody else to be in a job that they hate. I would go to work every day, drag myself to work every day, drag
Mm.
myself through the day because I did not like my job. I did not enjoy it. And I don't want anybody else to have that experience that I had.
Sure. Hmm. That's a great segue. So, there's a saying that says, change your story, change your life. And by story, I mean what we tell ourselves in our head all day long. So when you, Clestine, when you're at some of your darkest, most challenging times in your life, how did you change your story internally to change your reality externally?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
So for me, as a woman of faith, one of the things that God taught me to do a few years ago was to journal my prayers.
Mm,
And journaling is a really powerful tool because it helps you get out what's in your head
mm,
onto paper and to kind of relieve that pressure and to start making sense of things. So I use journaling to give me clarity and help me to make sense of things and to help me to kind of get centered. It's a great tool. I recommend it to anyone. So that's one of the things I've done. Then I've created some mindset management tools over the years that I share with my clients to help me to be aware of what I'm thinking, be aware of why I'm thinking what I'm thinking, and then to take a look at where I want to go and what thoughts will serve me to help me. So basically managing your self-talk, because what you say to yourself is so much more detrimental than what anybody could say to you.
absolutely. You mentioned that you've also written a few books. Tell us about that.
My first book was in 2006 and it was called
Wow.
Nuggets of Knowledge to Get Unstuck.
Wow.
Nuggets with a K. It was a play on words. And that was kind of a self-help book to kind of help guide you to thinking about what you're thinking, because a lot of people think they think but don't. And so learning to stop yourself and really think about what you're thinking kind of helps you to get to transition to your best next steps. So that's what that book is about. And then my second book was released in 2016, so 10 years later. And that one's called The Art of Convincing Yourself.
Wow.
And again, it's about mindset. And it's basically 3 questions that you need to ask yourself to be successful.
And what are those questions?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I'm going to grab the
Hey,
book.
don't tease me, sister.
Oh, let's see. So, my 3 questions, people. All right, the first question is, am I willing to take the risk?
Let me write this down.
Am I willing to take the risk? So, as you're, this is a good book for when you're trying to convince yourself to make a move or start a new career or basically convince yourself to do anything. The first question you should ask is, am I willing to take a risk? Because if you're not,
Mm,
then all you're going to be doing is going in circles, right?
yes.
The second question is this of value to me? Is this something that you value? Because if not, why are you doing it?
Totally.
Right? Does it make sense? And then the third thing is, do I have the ability and skills needed? Right? So in other words, if I decide, you know what, I'm going to become a mechanic, but I don't know anything about fixing the car. Yes, you can learn, but really think about, do you have those skills? And either if you need to have the skills or you need to develop the skills that you don't have.
Mm,
So
love,
those are the 3 questions.
love that. Okay. Send me after this call the link to those books. I will put them on the show notes.
Okay.
And yeah, wow. Tell us about your business now. So you said you're helping women, Christian women, find the purpose so they can identify the purpose so they can activate their magic, the genius, and leave the purpose. Something along those lines.
Right. So I help Christian women to find their genius or purpose, activate the courage so they
Ah,
can live their dream, right?
beautiful.
Because it takes and I didn't learn this until halfway through my career, but it takes a lot of courage to start a business and then build a business.
Big time.
Um, because you have to become a different person. Most people have to become a different person. You have to go through an identity shift, and that requires you to change the way that you're thinking. And so it takes a lot of work on yourself, and it takes a lot of courage,
Mhm.
you know,
Absolutely.
to do that. It really does.
Starting a business is some of the hardest thing you can do because you don't have anyone telling you what to do. You don't have any guidance. You have to make things happen. If you don't,
Mhm.
you're not gonna eat,
Yep,
literally.
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. You're the one that has to push yourself.
Yes. How
Hmm.
do you find that motivation in you to keep going when you have no one to tell you what to do? What's your why? What
My
makes you
my why is when I got laid off from my engineering job, I ended up having to move out of my apartment and stay with a friend for a few months, about 8 months. And during that time, I had this recurring dream, which for me is that is unique because I don't dream like most people. If I dream, it's because I ate the wrong thing or ate late or something like that. But this dream, it was the same dream every night for 2 whole weeks.
wow.
And it was always around the same time. And after the first week, I realized, okay, this is God speaking to me. And then after the second week, I said, okay, God, yes. And the dream was me standing in front of my church preaching.
Beautiful.
And it was always the exact same dream every night. And what it did is it ignited something in me. And I realized God was showing me that so that nobody could ever tell me this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, not even myself. Right. And so it ignited that passion, couple that with the desire to help people find their purpose so that they're not in a job that they don't like, because I was. Those two things together are my why. That I want to make sure that people are living what God put them on this earth for.
That's so powerful, so beautiful. And that also, I can relate with that because one of the most profound realization I came across that I realized over the last few years since I had my awakening is listening to that voice, to those gut feelings, to those hunches, because
Mm-hmm.
that's your soul talking to you. And when our soul has two purposes, main purposes: one, to keep you safe, protect you, and keep you alive; and number two, guide you to the next phase of your journey. Some of the most life-changing decision I've made have come
Mm-hmm.
from me listening to that voice, just like you, but in a different
Mm-hmm.
way. I was having dinner with family, summer of 20,
Mm-hmm.
late afternoon lunch,
Mm-hmm.
summer 2020, completely disconnected from business. An
Mm-hmm.
idea pops in, start a podcast. What do you mean start a podcast? And it keeps on coming, keeps on coming. And then a year later, again, same setting, dinner with family, disconnected, still an academy. What do you mean still an academy? It kept on coming, kept on coming, kept on coming. And then
Right, right, right.
a few months after, share your story in a book, share your story in a book, share your story in a book, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
The more now I learned that now when I get those hunches, those gut feelings and that voice, I stop whatever I'm doing and I listen to it.
Mm.
And they can
That's
come in the
good.
most unexpected time. You're taking a shower, you're doing the dishes, cooking,
Exactly.
you're driving,
Yeah.
you're at a
Drive.
business
Yeah.
presentation,
Right, right, right.
whatever you're doing, and you
Right.
have to listen to it, especially if it keeps on coming and coming.
Mm-hmm.
Do not, do not suppress that. Society tells us since we're kids, society, school, family, whatever, oh, seek outside guidance, talk to an expert. Yes, that has its place, but ultimately, when you connect to your soul, you connect yourself to the endless wisdom of the universe, of God, of whatever you want to call it. And that's
Mhm.
where the real wisdom is, real magic. So I totally relate.
It's funny. It's funny you say that you always listen because I'm going to be honest, I sometimes did not, or I would be delayed in listening. So I admire the fact that you listen right away. So for example, when I was in North Carolina, I was only there for 2 years, and I think North Carolina was my transition place, right? Because I was only there 2 years. Um, and I kept hearing the Holy Spirit telling me to
Wow.
this word, Florida, Florida, Florida. And it was just this
Oh,
whisper, right? Because I always said I will
Florida.
never live in Florida, ever, never, never. I always used to say that, right? I'll never live in Florida. So of course he had to turn up the volume because I said I'd never live in Florida. And it was this whisper, Florida, Florida. And I kept ignoring it.
Mm.
And after 8 months of ignoring it, I got tired and I said, okay, I know it's you. I'll go. But
There
then,
was.
we always come up with excuses, right?
Mm.
So I was like, well, I'm laid off. I don't have any money. I was doing this little part-time thing until I could figure it out. And I was like, I don't have any money. And it was like, what came to me was, it was around February, do your taxes. And it's one of the biggest tax returns I've ever gotten. So I was able to rent a truck, tow my car behind it, and it was me and my music driving on the highway from North Carolina to Tampa, Florida, or
How
outside
long
of
did you
Tampa.
drive?
It took about 12 hours.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it took about 12 hours. And I remember my father, my late father at the time, he said, he was so mad. He says, why didn't you call me to drive with you or call your
Yeah.
sister, brother to drive with you? And I'm like, I don't need to call anybody. I can drive myself, so yeah.
So when you finally made the move to go to Florida, did you have any friends and family? How did you pick the place? So you just close your eyes, look at the map of Florida, and just put your finger wherever that landed. That's where you go.
No, that was an interesting story. So I got laid off. So I had called some headhunters and telling them, I'm looking for an engineering job because even though in my heart I felt like God was going to do something new, it's like, well, I don't know what else am I going to do because I don't have another degree. So I'm looking for engineering jobs still. And all the engineering jobs were in Florida. All
Mm.
the interviews that I went on, I should say, all the interviews were in Florida. And I had three, and each one of them kept leading me. It started in Miami and it worked its way up to the Tampa Bay area. And I remember never got any of those jobs, by the way, which was unusual for me, but never got those jobs. But I went to visit my brother who lived in Florida at the time. I mean, in Spring Hill, which is where I live now at the time. And I remember I went for Christmas because I still didn't know what I was going to be doing. And I remember praying, and then I heard this voice say, this is where you're going to be living. And I was like, no, I don't want to live here. So it was all these, I always say I'm going to write a memoir because I had all these supernatural
Please
experiences
do.
that led me to being here, the place that I said I didn't want to be.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, but now I love the fact that it's 90% of the time it's sunny and
Changes
you
from
know
Boston. No
blue
more, no
skies.
shoveling, eh?
Exactly, exactly.
I feel you. Yeah. Wow. That's a beautiful story. Wow. So tell us more about your business and how are you inspiring these women?
Um, so before the pandemic, I was doing in-person conferences, boutique conferences, I call them. But before that, I was, traveling and speaking,
Mm.
mainly to churches. And then I realized that, you know what, this isn't enough for me. And I know these women need more. So I started doing coaching and developing coaching programs. And so that's what I do. I have a signature coaching program that's 6 months. And then I have an online program for those that can't afford the signature program that's 30 days. And really helping the women to kind of dial down and get clear on the problem they solve in the world, and then develop the confidence to step out and do it.
Wow.
And so I do it through my coaching and my virtual events. And I just, it's a joy. It's a joy to see when they go through their transition
Sure.
and their transformation. I think I have the best job in the world.
Absolutely. Especially when you ignite the spark in others, you give them
Mhm.
direction, hope, belief
Yeah,
in yourself. That's priceless.
it is. It really is.
Yeah. Tell us about the structure of a program.
So my 6 month program, it's global. So since the pandemic, my practice has gone global. So I'm excited about that. So we meet every week.
Mm,
And there's 3 zones that they go through. The first zone is the genius zone, and that's where they learn, what their gifting is, who they're called to serve, what their core message is. That's in the genius zone,
mm,
and where their clients are. And then they go through the belief zone, because that's the toughest thing, is to work on yourself, shift your mindset. So um the first and third week of every month is mindset coaching with myself. Then the second and the fourth week is where they go through the video teaching videos and the lessons that I've created in the online university. I have a facilitator that guides them through those. So they do it together. So it's basically group learning. I call it focus learning group. So that's the second and the fourth week. And together as a class, they go through the teaching lessons, and that's where they get the strategy, the life work, the action steps that they need to take, and they go through that together with the coaching tools and things of that nature. So first and third is mindset coaching and business coaching with me, and then second and fourth is actually going through the online university and the lessons to move them forward through the process. And I've been working on this program for about 5 years, and by right now, I'm really excited about where it is and what I've been able to do with it, and just the tweaks and molding and shaping. The thing that I added is once a month they get a 30-minute private session with me, so that I can really dial down and really help them with anything that they need to make sure that they move forward.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You just answered my next question. How long you been doing that? So I said 5 years. That's beautiful. Um, Share with us an example of some of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients.
Ah, um, there's so many, but I remember one client years ago. She's in Alabama, and she was a tough cookie because she's been a serial entrepreneur all her life, pretty much. And she was having a hard time letting go of a thought or an attitude, right? And so I was asking her questions because I knew what the answer was, but I can't tell her the answer. So asking her questions, 45 minutes later, she finally realizes what her answer is, and she starts crying, and she said, wow, I didn't realize I had this challenge, but now I see my value.
Mm,
And so for her, she was in her late 40s, early 50s, and she's like, this is the first time I've actually seen my value, and that I have a place in this world.
mm,
And that's so, it's so touching to see that, to see a woman in her 40s and 50s, realizing I really do have a purpose and I really do have value.
Indeed. That's beautiful. For me, the most powerful benefit of business is number one, the transformation I help achieve in the lives of people. And number two,
Mhm.
the wonderful friendships and relationships I build in the process.
Right.
These are amazing. The money is icing on the cake. For me, I used to be before my awakening all about the money, money, money. But now it's
Right.
how can I change lives? How can I inspire, empower, and serve someone get what they want?
Hmm.
Build beautiful friendships and relationships, and as long as I can do those two, then the money's gonna take care of itself.
Right.
That's been a life changer for me, a big time eye opener.
Right. Yeah, we have, being in the
Mhm.
transformation industry, nothing like it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Nothing like it.
Now I love that. How are you getting your clients?
I get them through my virtual events, referrals, um, and warm leads,
Mhm.
warm leads.
Beautiful. What's
Yes.
your irresistible offer?
Irresistible offer. Um, right now, my irresistible offer is the sold out method
Mm,
to take them from doing what they're doing now to living the dream through my sold out method program.
beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. What's the next stage for your program? Do you have anything new in store or maybe,
That's a good question.
yeah.
So I've been mulling things over in my mind, and I
Mm,
want to extend it to a 12-month program. Um, and I think what would happen in the second half of the 12 months would be in-person masterminds and
mm,
retreats.
that's amazing. Yes.
Because my clients have been saying, "Oh, we want to get together." So I'm praying on that one and thinking about it.
Set the intention, focus on the why, the how is going to unfold in front of you magically.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
yes.
it.
Beautiful. Awesome. Now, let's move forward. What is a cause that is very dear to your heart?
Um, one of my friends started a school for
Mm,
youth, entrepreneurship school for youth. And I think we're living in a day and age where entrepreneurship should be taught in all the schools.
mm,
And
absolutely.
so for me, that's near and dear to my heart because I think that it's important for individuals to discover their gifts and then use their gift, monetize it, or do something with it. And so that's near and dear to my heart.
Beautiful, beautiful. We can talk for long, but let's start wrap things up and do a follow up in a few weeks. And to finish, I'd like to ask a series of rapid fire questions on advices. Ready?
Mhm.
What's the best piece of advice you've received so far in your life?
The best advice I received so far.
Mm,
I think it was to follow my dream,
beautiful.
to follow
What's
my
the wo-
dream,
what's the worst piece of advice you received?
to not follow my dream.
Get a job. Stop dreaming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Imagine that you were blessed with a time machine and you can go back in time and sit face to face with the 18-year-old Clestine, what's an
Mhm.
what's the number one piece of advice you would give to her, knowing all that you know now?
Um, you're going to do amazing things in life. So you don't have
Mm,
to worry about what other people say or think.
absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have your own podcast?
Nope, but I'm gonna get one.
Good, good. What's the number one reason that you haven't started yours yet?
Because I haven't sat down and intentionally said I'm gonna do it. Because when I put my mind to something, I do it.
Awesome, awesome. Imagine that. Okay, let's move past forward. Imagine that
Mhm.
you have your podcast today and very successful, and you're interviewing the most special person in the world for you, which is yourself. What's the
Mhm.
first question you want to ask yourself? Don't think too much. First thing that comes to your mind.
Um, if you were to do this again, what would you do differently?
Oh, beautiful. What's your answer?
I would not worry so much.
Oh, I love that. That is so true.
Hmm.
That is so true.
Would not
Yes,
worry so much.
love that. The last question I ask all of my guests, and that's my favorite question to ask, and that is, what is the smallest thing? And by small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing that you've done so far that has had the greatest, deepest, most profound, positive impact in both your life and business. For example, for me, it's been starting my podcast. That completely changed my life, transformed it in every way. What about you, Clestine?
Speaking.
Mm,
I was so shy and insecure and could not imagine. I was the one that would walk into a room and not want anybody to say anything. Um, and to think that I went from that person to being comfortable speaking in front of hundreds and thousands of people. It just amazes me. So I always tell people when I speak, when I go to churches and I see the young people or the little ones, and I say, support the young people and pour into them, find out what their gifts are, because you never know who they're going to be. The person that they are now, if somebody had said that I was going to be doing what I'm doing, I would have said no way. Right. So you don't know what children
mhm,
and young people will be. They just need your love and your support and your
mhm.
guidance and your encouragement.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That is so true. Not just the youngsters, but anyone you meet, anyone,
Anyone, yeah.
any age. Yes.
Listen, I have my clients that are in their 70s, every year I have one or two clients that are like in their 70s. And I always tell them that they are my inspiration because they haven't given up,
Oh, yeah.
or they decided, you know what? I want to find out what I'm supposed to be doing. I have a client in the last cohort that I had this year in the summer, 73 and no 71, and she was ahead of everybody else. She was like, I'm gonna do this, and she was amazing. She was
Mhm.
amazing, and she's doing great things now.
That's it. This is all about that inspiration. Yes.
Mhm,
Life is about inspiring, empowering others, pushing
mhm.
someone, just like you said, identify the genius, activate the courage so they can follow their heart. I love that.
That- yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. If someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
Um, mypurposecoach.com is my website, and on there you can schedule a free consultation
Hmm.
so that we can for an hour. And what I do is I do a assessment, identity, and mindset assessment just to see who you are now and who you need to be as far as your vision and the best next step for you. So mypurposecoach.com. Or if you don't want to go there and you want to, right now, I need to talk to Clestine right now, just go to talktoclestine.com and schedule a consultation.
Beautiful. I'm looking at your website. Beautiful website, by the way. Wow. Very nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Awesome. Listen, Clestine, I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world, your presence, your impact, everything you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. That's amazing. Stay safe, stay awesome. God bless you, and talk to you very soon. Take care, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Very
You
welcome.
too.
Cheers.